Hello and welcome to another edition of the Money Players podcast. I'm Nahu Mikey P, Mike Pribozie, and we're giving you a little Assiniboia Downs. I know we missed last week for the Assiniboia Downs show, but this new partnership with Assiniboia Downs has been really fun and giving you some racing from Assiniboia. They're early in the week, Mondays, Tuesdays, usually Wednesdays. The schedule's changed just a bit. We're starting the video version of this podcast, and this week, my first guest very much tied into Canadian racing, usually on the harness side, but the man does show up at thoroughbred racetracks, and he's an excellent handicapper. Garnet Barnsdale, my good friend, welcome to the Players Podcast.
Happy to be here, Mike. Certainly thankful that you're having me on. And I was at Woodbine yesterday betting multiple tracks, and I think I might be doing the same today. There's a nice carol there in the air conditioning with my name on it waiting for me for a few hours. So for sure, I'm into thoroughbred racing almost as much as harness racing.
Yeah, we're busy. We're watching. I know I've been doing a lot of pods for Pete for Saratoga, and we've been doing a lot of watching the thoroughbred racing. We're equally adept, I think, at picking winners at all these places. And the Assiniboia podcasts have been fun. Now, their dates have changed up a little bit. They had a little bit of a problem up there with a virus that has caused them to have limited shippers. So they've had to change some dates around. The schedule has changed. Instead of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the next 3 weeks, they'll be just Mondays and Tuesdays, which should help the field, help the racing. And then they go back to 3 days a week in mid-August. So August 12th, that week, they'll start 3 days a week, and then that'll carry into September. So the meet's going to last until the end of September. So plenty of Assiniboia Downs, plenty of Players podcasts that we got going for you. This week, we're going to give you late pick 4. We're going to give you a couple spot plays also. And I know, Garnet, you were interested in a spot play in that first race. Now, this will be Tuesday night. They start at 8:30 Eastern. So usually a great spot in the schedule. Not a lot of tracks going on at that time, Tuesday evening. So Assiniboia gets a fair amount of handle. Where are we going in the first race?
Yeah, and before that, I also want to add, has a very good following on horse racing Twitter. A lot of people that we know are betting it and posting about it so regularly. So yeah, it's a very popular track from my experience. But for my spot play, I'm going to go to the rail, the veteran X-Checker racing off a claim. I thought his last effort was really good. Was in a duel most of the way, only beaten half a length. Gets the rail, drops to a $4,000 claiming level. I think X-Checker is definitely the one to catch and beat in this spot in the first half of the daily double.
Yeah, I get that card started with a nice price. I do think that should be a little bit of a mid price on that one. I think the 2 Labrat will probably take some money there coming off that win and was claimed out of that race. This horse shrinks down to 5.5. Could be just off the pace there. And also another one coming off the claim. So I don't mind that one at all in the first. Well, I'm going to give you a spot play also. It comes in the second race on Tuesday night. And, this race, let's click to it here. It's a 6 furlong. This is one of their allowance races. It comes with an optional tag of 10,000. That's typical of their allowance races. Their 1X type races have an optional 10 tag. And I'm going to go to a horse here that the 6 Starship Chewbacca. Now 2-1 morning line, but this horse has been second in its last 2. Ran into Kate's Princess last time. Kate's Princess was favored in that race and has been very sharp recently. Several wins in a row. That horse was sub-even money in that race. Tons of speed for that horse. Starship Chewbacca has been stuck chasing that one. Plenty of speed here, though, and I think should control this race. Now, I don't know how big of a price you're going to get here, but there's plenty of different ways you can go. There's a pick 3 that starts in this race. They have rolling doubles at Assiniboia. So if you can shrink down and use a horse like this in those wagers, I do think that you can make a little money with that one. And if you want to pair it up with Garnet's horse in the first race, a little daily double to get started. Let's go to pick 4 now. And late pick 4, dollar minimum. So 50,000 guarantee. I'm not sure, Garnet, if you've seen some of these pick 4 pools are 100,000, 120,000, 140,000 there with that dollar minimum.
Yeah, it's great. And, dollar minimums generally lead to better payouts and even the possibility of carryovers. But like I said, I see lots of people tweeting and talking about their bets and following Assiniboia when I'm on Twitter. So And that's just on my own feed. There's probably lots more that I don't see that maybe I don't follow.
Well, Tuesday night late pick 4, it starts in race 4, 9:50 Eastern time. They stay on schedule pretty well there. And again, that dollar minimum. This first race, Garnet, huge favorite in the 8 Ice Storm, even money on the morning line, but a 19-time starter, still a maiden, and looked all the world like should have won last time, but found a way to lose again.
Yeah, and I totally have to be against this horse in this spot, especially playing a pick 4. Came from Turf Paradise and Del Mar, and just had 3 chances and failed at 4-5, 4-5, and 3-5. If you go down to February, this horse had a chance in a maiden 4,500 claimer at Turf Paradise and could do no better than 4th. So I'm going to go 4 deep and not use them. Starting with a 30-1 shot, number 2, Sortashi. This is my all-time best, most profitable and favorite angle, a lone second-time starter in any race, whether it be a maiden race, a race with winners. And this is the kind of chart lines that they tend to step up off, right? He broke slow. He was bothered. It said he was bothered. And it doesn't take much to bother a young, inexperienced horse to quickly lose touch with the field. But he did show a little bit of run, right? Made up 6 lengths from the second call to the finish. Sometimes in their second start, everything goes much better. I don't think this horse is going to be 30-1, but he could potentially still be the longest shot on the board. I have to use him because it's a profitable angle for me. The other ones I'm going to go to, number 4, Moon Man Rules. Made a nice late run in that stake race there on July 10th. And his other 2 starts aren't bad at all. And he's 8-1 in the morning line. I think you got to use him. Golden Diversion, the 5. Tried the Derby trial, might have been a little bit outclassed there, but 2 starts back was beaten only in neck in a maiden race here. A good effort. And the last one I'm going to use is number 7, Pino Bambino, who just seems to have improving form and, could be a horse that might step up in this race. So I'm going to be totally against Ice Storm. If he beats me, I'll take the loss and move on, but I'm going 2, 4, 5, 7 to kick it off.
Agree against Ice Storm. Really, it's tough to play these horses at even money and so many chances. I mean, we know what this horse is at this point and really probably should have won last time and found a way to lose that race. I'm going to try to single a horse here, and it's the 4 Moon Man Rules. Ran into a horse named No Show, No Call, who's dominated a couple of these state-bred races up here at Assiniboia. Now, this horse was a long shot in both of those races, but No Show, No Call is 1-9 in those races, and just galloping in both those races, really. So the price is incidental to me. Now it gets back to a maiden spot against a horse that just finds ways to lose races, stretches out to a mile. I do not think that that's going to give this horse a problem. If you look, was running late last time at a 6 furlong, so stretches out to a mile. Has plenty of breeding for that. You got 8-1 morning line here. A little bit hidden for me, I think. And the money, I think, mostly is going to find the 5 and the 8 in the race. And I could see the 5. That's sort of the other alternative here. But again, another 0 for 11 type maiden probably is fast enough to beat the eventual favorite here. But I don't know. I'm going to try Moon Man Rules on the come, especially with the stretch out and getting away from a horse that would absolutely murder this field also.
Yeah, and you know what? He's only faced maidens once, right? It was in his debut, and he was very good in that debut, and most horses move up off their debut. I don't think you're going to get 8-1, but that could be a very good single.
Yeah, I mean, that race, No Magic, that was a first-time starter there, and that horse has been okay off of that race also. So as keeping good company, might be a little bit hidden. We'll see what the board, because it's the first leg of the pick 4, so you'll be able to see what the board turns in that race, and we'll see. I would imagine that that horse will get a little bit of money, and maybe ends up third choice there. Let's move on to race number 5, and this is a state-bred allowance going for $18,000. This is a pretty nice bunch here. I thought you had to cast a wide net. Where you at?
I only went 2 deep, but now that I'm looking at a couple other horses, I maybe wish I did cast wider. But I'm going to start with the 4 Mechanic Susie. I think she's got to be on the ticket, coming off two big wins, one in May, one in June. They're spacing her races out well, right? She comes back now in the middle to the end of July. Had a couple of 3 workouts since her last start. Actually, 4 workouts since her last start. I think you can't leave her out. And the other one I use is her next door neighbor, Dazzling Gold. Maybe the slow pace played against her last time, but she's been right there in 4 straight races. Definitely an improving sort. So I'm going to go 4 Mechanic Susie and 5 Dazzling Gold.
Agree on those two. I think that those two absolutely need to be used in the race. I'm going to try a couple prices too. The one, Catch the Dream, has been keeping company with these ones, has 2 wins over the racetrack. Is a closer in here, and I think that there's enough speed in the race to maybe set up a kick for this one. The 2, Diane's Wish. Now, 20-1 morning line here. Comes off a claim from Lee de la Ronde, one of the top trainers here at the racetrack, and just it's more a connections play. I mean, shows up off that claim, 1-2 back and a 3 life for 5. Won the race prior in a 5 claimer, so does have to step up. But if you look back in August of last year, was in a similar spot to this and ended up second. So plenty of I think back lines to go back to, and you get the price of the 20-1 morning line. And then I'll use the 9 also, very similar. Comes off the claim for the top barn, 30-1 morning line. You get a switch in jockey here, and another one that's been bet in those races, in those claiming races. Again, needs to step up, might need to get faster, but you're getting a change in connection. And a lot of times those top barns can take these horses and move them up. There's no killers in this race. So I think I'm singling in leg 1. I'm going to try to spread out in leg 2. Let's move on to race number 6. This is a 4 claimer. It's a beaten claimer. They're going for 10,000, 1 mile. So 2 turns going a mile at Assiniboia Downs. Where'd you end up here?
Initially, I was going to single the 2 Poderoso Equus on the class drop and kind of improving form. That was until I watched the replay of Rail Splitter's last race. Rail Splitter in a 5-horse field somehow managed to get into a duel right from the start of the race, won that duel, and then was engaged again in another duel going around the far turn. Was softened up enough to succumb to that duel. But I thought, hung in there very well to stay second, and now races off the claim. So I'm not going to single. I am going to use the 2 Poderoso Equus and the 6 Rail Splitter.
I was a little spready in this race too. I didn't use the 2. I agree on the 6 though. I do think the 6, especially coming off the claim, dueled last time, now stretches out to a mile, and this horse has been okay at that distance in the past. I think that one's a use. The 8, maybe sometime. Another one, third back. I like that. Was favored last time going 7 and finished up very well there. Just kind of ran out of racetrack. So I think that one can definitely be used. The 3, Serenity. Some of these names here. Here's another one for the top barn. Sloppy track last time. Was claimed 3 back from Fawner and then switched to the top barn just to start a go whenever Jerry Gourneau, he was the top trainer here. He is no longer at the racetrack. So this trainer has, got a lot of these horses and has improved them. So I think I'll use that one. And then the 4, Really Slow. Another one, I think just a closer in the race from the top barn. I'm looking for, some of these connection plays here in races that are wide open. So I'll use that one. So 3, 4, 6, 8 for me there.
I'd almost want to be against Really Slow just on the name alone.
Tough to root for Really Slow.
I've been on his many of his relatives, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Wagering career.
Race 7 to finish, 6 furlongs, $5,500 claimers going 6. How are we going to get paid?
Well, I'm going to start with Senior Jobim the 4, and probably totally because he got claimed by a guy that's winning more than a third of his races. I mean, it's really that simple for me, and the horse's form is good. So at 9-2, I got to put him on the ticket. And the other one I'm going for is a bit of a price, also racing off the claim. Number 8, Not Afraid, comes off a big win, claimed by Delaronde, who you've mentioned several times, and I believe Praven Badri is the leading rider. So I'm not really sure what makes this horse 10-1 in the morning line, racing in basically the same class level, coming off a strong win and racing off that claim. So I'm going to go 4-8 to finish it off.
I was prices in here, different horses too. The 1, Cool Cross, 7-1 morning line, and gets a drop here. Last 3 showed up from Century Mile last time, and really that's a much tougher level than this one. and just sort of got a prep around the racetrack. That was a quick pace there for sure. This is a better spot, I think, for this horse, and could be a little bit hidden here. The 2 Club Champ, that one got in a speed though last time, and while favored, now shrinks up in distance, second off the claim. This barn is 42% so far for the meet. Also, you get a different jockey, and Whitehall has ridden this horse before, so that one's 8-1 morning line. Another one that should be an okay price, and then the 9 is 20-1 morning line. That's House Limit, and this one's a closer. This one finished up to be second last time, going 5.5. Was steadied early in the race, so a troubled trip. Now it gets to stretch out to 6. Could end up with a lot of speed to chase in here. Now probably needs a trip and needs things to fall apart, but I would like to be live to this one here in the back end of the pick 4. All right, Garnet, so let's cap our tickets here. I have yours up. How are we going to get paid in this pick 4?
2-4-5-7 in the first leg onto 4-5 with 2-6 with 4-8. And I just want to add, this is one of the things I love about Assiniboia Downs is so many of the races you can make cases for so many horses. Like I picked the 4 and 8 in the last leg, and then you're giving your horses out for the last leg, and I'm looking at them in the program, and at no point am I saying, man, I think he's nuts about this horse, or where does he come up with this horse? There's so many of these races that are kind of wide open and very interesting puzzles. So I mean, that to me is what makes it an interesting racetrack to play.
Yeah, this is a good sequence because you got the dollar minimum, so you have to take a stand somewhere or things get very expensive very quickly. And I do think, especially these last couple races, you have an opportunity to catch prices. There's not going to be any huge favorites in these races. So if you're going to play, this is a definite sequence, I think, that could produce a big payout because the potential for prices and the lack of overwhelming favorites make it, I think, very attractive. All right, I'll give you my tickets. Again, singling the 4 in the first race. If you wanted to back up in there, the 5 was another option against that favorite. Spreading wide in leg number 2, 1, 2, 4, 5, 9. Again, looking with that single in the first race to try to cast a wide net, catch a price in leg 2. 3, 4, 6, 8 in leg 3. Again, another pretty tough race. And then I have prices in the last, the 1, the 2, the 9. I could understand, though, if you're looking to back up on some tickets, maybe use a couple of Garnet's horses in that last race. That's a really tough race to finish up. All right, Garnet, this has been fun, and we're going to try to get you on here again. Final thoughts here for Tuesday, Assiniboia pick 4 et al.
Yeah, just like you said, I mean, there's a lot of wide open races, and I think there's good chances to make some money. I mean, the stake race, maybe not so much. You got an overwhelming favorite there that could be a potential superstar, but the other 6 races look fairly wide open to me. So it looks like a really good card to play.
Well, jump on Tuesday night. Assiniboia, Mondays and Tuesdays, 8:30 Eastern. Perfect spot in the schedule. Again, dollar minimum pick 4s. They have a jackpot pick 5. If you're interested in that sort of thing, that starts in race number 3. Mandatory payout for that is coming on Manitoba Derby Day, which is the first week in August, I believe, the August the 5th. So hopefully that can carry over until that time. We'll see what happens. So we'll see you next week. This has been a production of In the Money Media. Our president is Peter Thomas Fornatel. Thanks to Garnet for this week. We'll see you guys next time.